Welcome back to another episode of Wild Sports. I'm Fu. Got my boy Sean here with me.
What up?
We are back for another week of a little preview of Alabama, Georgia. We're going to start it off hot with the Bama game last week. Good showing against Mississippi State. Late night game. Final score ended up being 40-17. Our predictions were pretty spot on.
Yeah.
I had 34-17, so missed it by 6. And you
Very
had
good.
42-13. So you were
Okay.
right. You were all over it as well. Basically kind of what we expected, kind of Milrow throwing a little bit, 10-12, pretty efficient day. Nothing too exciting in the pass game.
I did notice that someone didn't have a catch.
I don't even think he played.
Good.
I don't even think Burton played. I didn't see the report on that of why, if it
I hope
was
he's healthy.
off the field or injury. I'm not sure. But anyway, Milrow, 164 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Added 69 on the ground, 2 touchdowns running. Had a pretty electric long run, kind of what you expect out of him. The highlight, definitely the defense. Holding a team that likes to sling it around a bunch. We had 3 interceptions. 3 interceptions, 4 sacks. Had a defensive touchdown for the first time in a while.
I mean, that used to be y'all's MO.
Yeah. I really solidified what I'm seeing in this defense. Great pass rush. Secondary's really stepping it up. We didn't see the busted coverages that, we had talked about, previewing it last week. That's what's kind of made me nervous about this defense is it just seems like there's momentary lapses in the coverage where it's just guys wide open. Didn't see that this game. Good complete game by the defense. Offense is building a little bit. I think we're seeing Milrow, pretty good production, not asking him to do more than, the only thing I see negative that he's going to have to switch up, didn't see really any bad throws this last week, but he's really bad about taking sacks when it's not necessary. He scrambles and he's got plenty of time to throw the ball away and he'll just hang on to
Gets
it.
a little bit happy feet.
That's right. So would like to see him clean that up. But overall, solid game for the Tide. Got out of the Cowbell College down there and solid W. So moving into this week.
Let me go ahead and I'm gonna chime in a bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
It wasn't as big as a game as I thought for Milrow. He did have a great game. I was expecting him to explode, obviously, with what I said last week. The 2 touchdowns you mentioned, that's great. Highly efficient, which is something I think his confidence needed. I did notice the happy feet as well, though. Hopefully they can work on that because I know A&M's got a pretty decent pass rush. It seemed like the defense did play exceptional. 4 sacks, 3 INTs. You mentioned the TD. So hopefully that, gives them a confidence booster moving forward for the test in College Station.
Yeah, it's a big one.
It's called College Station, right?
That's correct. 2:30 CBS. So we've got our favorite commentators on this game. I'm super excited about that.
Yeah,
but
they're brutal.
Yeah. So right now they got Bama as looks like the line's a 2 to 1.5 point favorite. So
I saw
basically
1.5.
Big game, I think, has a lot of determination on the SEC West. I know it's early in the season. There's a lot of games left to play, but definitely whoever wins this one has the inside track on winning the SEC West and getting to Atlanta. So a lot on the line here, going into a tough environment. The biggest thing I'm seeing is Texas A&M's pass rush compared to Alabama's offensive line protection. A&M's going back-to-back games with 7.5 plus sacks.
And those were two SEC opponents.
Right. So they're ranked. I saw they're ranked second nationally in sacks per game, first overall nationally in tackles for loss per game. And Alabama is currently sitting at 122nd nationally in sacks allowed. That spells some issues there, especially with the with the quarterback that we know doesn't do very well under
Previously
duress.
noted happy feet.
Yes, he does. Like I said, I see that a little skewed in the way because I think he does allow sacks that are not technically offensive line's fault, extending plays and not getting rid of it when he could. But I think that's a big stat line there to pay attention to going into Saturday. So I think that's a key to the game, big time. A&M, their quarterback went down. Connor Wigman went down a couple weeks ago. So you got Max Johnson starting. I was just talking a little bit before, doing a little research on Max Johnson. I know he previously played at LSU. He's a sophomore on the roster, but he's played 4 years in college football, and he's had good stats. I mean, he's an efficient quarterback. I was looking through his, he's very little interceptions. The 1 year he played a lot was 2021. Threw for 2,800 yards, 27 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. So pretty strong, pretty solid. And so far this year, he's 37 of 59 for 436, 6 touchdowns, interceptions. So he's efficient. Doesn't turn the ball over a lot. Doesn't look like. So I don't see a lot of drop off there. But again, I think Alabama, kind of like what we talked through text messages this weekend. I think Alabama's got a pretty elite defense. Can they just get the offense to back it up? I think the offense is doing what needs to be done. I think they're easing Milroe into it, but you got to eliminate the mistakes.
Definitely.
Interesting point I saw from last year. It was in Tuscaloosa. It was a game that Bryce was out, so Milroe got the start. Bama won 24-20 with 4 turnovers and 2 missed field goals.
Huh.
So very similar. I think, it kind of spelled. I was going back watching the highlights. It was one where they went for, A&M had a touchdown chance in the last seconds to win the game, and Terrion Arnold got the stop. But it was kind of like I was watching it like this is kind of what we've got to eliminate this year.
Yeah.
The only difference is you're playing in College Station this year, not in Tuscaloosa. So
correct.
Any thoughts? Any thoughts on Bama, Texas A&M?
Man, I was going back and forth with this game. I'd love to dive in and see just how many of those tackles for losses were against ULM and New Mexico. I mean, I don't think that's going to matter too much. I think they are a phenomenal defense, especially up front, which I think could cause some problems for Bama. I think it's going to be a defensive battle.
Yeah.
I saw that A&M's kicker is 1 for 5 from 40 to 49 yards, 2 for 2 from 50. So just keep him in that 40 to 49 yard range. All right.
Kind of like your golf game, huh?
Look, why are you bringing that into this?
Doesn't make sense.
So anyway, so glad you said that. Anyway,
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I genuinely think this is about to be a defensive battle. I think the over-under is sat at 46.5. I think it's going to come just shy of that.
Okay.
They come just shy of that for sure. I hate to do the cliche, whoever makes more mistakes is going to lose the game. But I just, with a backup QB and then with Milrow, or second string QB, I guess I should say, because he started before. I think whoever makes the least amount of mistakes wins the game. Protects the ball, stays out of long third downs, stays ahead of the chains. No, doesn't give up too many sacks or tackles for losses, stuff like that. Yeah. So I have an
Prediction?
upset happening.
I knew
I
it.
have 23-20 in favor of A&M.
Mm.
But I could not. I would not be surprised at all if it was the same score flipped.
Yeah.
I think that's gonna be the score. I just don't know which one. I don't know which one it's gonna be.
Don't be setting yourself up. Oh, I said it could go either way. I said
I won't
you
do
need
that.
to stick by your
I won't
horses,
do
dude.
that. A&M.
No, I mean I agree with you. I think I've got 23-14 Bama.
Okay.
I think
We're right there.
I just think this team's getting better. I think you're easing into it. I saw someone talking about like if the South Florida game didn't happen, are we really that worried about Alabama? You know what I mean? If it just you had that one game
No.
where it kind of just put everybody up in arms. A game that Milrow didn't play in. So I just see this. I love the defense. Like I said, I think if we can eliminate the busted coverages, which I think can be done, and we showed that last week. I think this team just keeps building, and get Milrow more time, more confidence. Offensive line showed a lot better last week. I just think he gets better. So that's where I've got. I agree with you. I think if we go into Texas A&M and have 4 turnovers like last year, I mean, I know the odds of when somebody has 4 turnovers, like the
Very
win
low.
percentage, I think is like really, really low. So
It's a really good note you added there about the drop the South Florida game and is anyone really too worried? That's a really
yeah,
good
I
thought.
mean, you lose to Texas. I think they're a great football team this year.
They are.
Beginning of the year.
They're very good.
Is there really reason to panic? I mean, obviously the offense is a little scary. But like I said, I think a lot of that is just everybody, including the Alabama faithful, have been so used to just having a stud quarterback for the last 7 years, 8 years. So it's just like, welcome to the real world. He's not that bad and he's not that great, So keep developing that rushing game, get him comfortable, and I think it just gets better. So I think if we can eliminate the mistakes, continue to build on what we got, defense plays strong, Alabama comes out 23-14.
Good. Yeah, I like it. I like it.
All right.
All right,
Let's switch
on
over to the puppy dogs.
to the Bulldogs. More so
Last week.
your golf game.
What?
Purely dominant. Duh.
Not purely dominant, dude.
Or not the game, but I mean them as a team.
Signs of good, but signs of bad.
You're all signs of bad. So going into the game, Georgia was trying to make it 22 straight. Auburn was trying to go 4 straight home wins against number 1 opponents,
What?
which I thought was nuts. They either had 4 or were going for 4 straight home wins against number 1 teams.
Wow. I guess we were.
And we were sitting there when the Aflac question came up. I think it was an Aflac question. We must have missed the answer if it was.
Who was it? Alabama, Georgia, Alabama.
So I mentioned Bama. I mentioned Georgia from 2017, where they beat us in Auburn, and then we beat them in the SEC title game. It has to be Bama again.
It has to be.
Like, who were they playing number 1 at home besides those two? Unless it's like from forever ago. Anyway,
yeah,
it was a pretty cool little snippet. Auburn had a great game plan, and they ran it to perfection. They said we're going to be physical. We're going to throw in some QB runs here and there, and it looked like Georgia was not ready for the QB run threat. They
Yeah.
looked so lost. Like, hey, classic Cam Newton Auburn style run. Everyone's got it's one on one, and then the QB's one on one with someone. Hat on
Yeah.
hat, and then one on one with someone. And for some reason, we just couldn't find that someone.
Yeah.
Um, Auburn ran for 219 rushing yards, which is the most since 2016. It was 10-0 after one in favor of the Tigers, War Eagles, something.
Whatever their mascot is.
Yeah, 10-10 and a half, 17-17 at the end of three, and the fourth quarter was a dogfight. Quite literally just a dogfight.
Yeah.
Beck in the first half only had 77 passing yards. He finished the day 23 of 33 for 313, a touchdown and a pick. Bowers' first half, 9 yards. He had 8 catches, 157 yards, game-winning touchdown after 2 one-handed. Did you see those grabs?
Yeah, I watched it.
Just snag. One didn't count. Still snagged.
Yeah, I saw it.
Like contested snag. He had a great, game-winning catch too. It's just we're so lucky to have him right now because
Big Dog took over.
Yeah, he literally just said, "I'm gonna put this game on my back, gonna bring it home, and we're gonna get ready for a very tough game next week." Very impressed with Auburn. Very impressed with how bad they looked the previous week and what they came looking like in this game.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, notes I had on that. I mean, obviously the big one: Brock Bowers, 4 receptions, 121 yards, and a touchdown in the fourth quarter.
Yes. Well,
I mean,
you have what we guessed. I didn't write that down from last week. Do you have what we guessed last week?
Yes, I did. Final score 27-20. I had 31-10.
That's not bad at all.
You had 34-17. So.
Oh, yeah. Real close for me. 10 points
I
off.
mean, yeah. Look, I mean, I was texting you and Brian and Spencer during the game. Like, I think everybody in the stadium, on the field, on the sidelines, in the booth, everywhere knew where that ball was going in the fourth quarter, and you still couldn't stop it. I mean, Frog Bowers is just a freak. I mean, and that's nothing new. Like I said, Beck, ended up pretty solid. Auburn's pass game is what it is. I think I saw they finished with 88 yards and an interception. So y'all shut that down. They did, like you said, did well on the ground. 219 and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Which is going to be interesting going into this week.
Very.
So, but overall, hey, you got into Jordan-Hare. I think it's one of the toughest ways. I hate that place and I hate that school. But
I also think it's one of the toughest places to play.
Between there and Tennessee, I've been to both of them live, and they're louder than any stadiums I've been to. And I hate to say that. I can't stand both those teams, but their stadiums are, to me, I mean, it's just something about them. I don't know. So, yeah, moving into this week, Kentucky, 6 o'clock p.m. in Athens.
7 p.m. Eastern.
7 p.m. Eastern. We're working on Central Time over here.
One is.
Where it gets dark already at like 6:45. I hate it. Georgia minus 15, 14, somewhere in that area right now. Per Vegas.
To those betting and actually betting and potentially listening to our advice, UGA is 0-5 against the spread this year. Just a fair little assessment here, all right?
Fade the dogs, or they do. That's the problem. They're
Trust
due.
me, they might be due. They could be due. But they're 0-5 is all I wanted to bring up. But, I mean, UGA, Kentucky, I think every single year, unless we play Bama, which, we usually do at some point, every single year this is the most physical game on our schedule. Stoops does a phenomenal job of just saying, be physical, punch them in the mouth, so on and so forth. I mean, Kentucky has a good rush defense. So I really think, we might have to see what Beck's all about. Maybe get creative with our runs, throw some screens in there because they also get after the QB pretty well. Both
Yeah.
of our teams this week are facing some pretty good pass rushing teams.
Right.
One thing I'll say is Kentucky's QB is not a mobile one, so we won't have to worry about QB runs this week unless they run some sort of wildcat formation, which I wouldn't be surprised at. It's not the same coach anymore, but I was going to refer to Randall Cobb days. Ultimately, I think Beck needs to have a pretty good game. Keep Bowers going.
Yep.
Get these transfers the ball. McConkey looked pretty good last week. He didn't have crazy numbers, but it was good to see him back on the field. And I think we gotta get rid of these slow starts. Gotta get rid of these slow starts. It will bite us at some point this season, maybe even this week.
Yeah, I've got the same kind of outlook on it. I think y'all have got to find something other in the passing game than Bowers. I know y'all have people there. Obviously, you've got the talent. I think he's a good quarterback. I've been a fan of him from day one. Really since last year when I saw him come in. But I think Georgia's got to work on. You got to rely on Bowers in the fourth quarter. He won the game for you last week.
Single-handedly.
You needed somebody, and he was there, and then some. So I'd like to be able to find, whether it's Lad McConkey or whoever else you got on the outside, start trying to find that. You got to get off going on the slow starts, but I think the key to this game is Georgia's defense against Kentucky's run. I saw Kentucky last week going against Florida. Florida had the number one defense in the SEC. Now I know it's early, but still, it's not like it's not like they don't have players. And Davis, the running back for Kentucky, ran for 280 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I saw that. Terrifying.
On 26 carries. So Georgia gives up 219 and 2 to Auburn. What is that? That's
a lot of
not terrible, but how are they going to handle that? I saw last year 16-6. And I know it's completely different teams, but like you said, just the history of it. It's a team last year that Georgia just seemed like they dominated everybody. Gets into a little dogfight with Kentucky. So I think Georgia's got to, they haven't looked as dominant as they have in years past so far. I'm not saying I just think they haven't found their groove yet. I think still one of the best teams top to bottom in college football. But they need to find that groove.
Very thankful that this game's at home, by the way. Very thankful that this game's at home.
Yeah, Kentucky's a tough place to play.
Very thankful.
But I think I think I see a lot that Georgia's just got to get better every week, and they've got to find that groove quicker. They've been in some games that they probably haven't dominated like they wanted to, but I think they still have a lot of room for growth and improvement. So I think it's a tough test this weekend. I think I've got Georgia, same thing as last week, 27-20.
Oh, same Georgia score. Okay.
And I think Kentucky gets one late.
Gotcha. One of those YG scores.
Yeah,
they did that last year too. They did that last year.
I think Georgia controls it pretty well. I don't see Kentucky running for 300 yards against Georgia. But I think maybe Georgia maybe doesn't start out real slow, but I still think they pulled out pretty good. But my final's 27-20. Not much of a scare. Not as much of a scare as the score.
We're very close. We're very close. I have 30-18.
Okay.
So we both have Kentucky covering. We both have Georgia getting the dub. It's gonna be physical. That's all I know. That's all I can really say about it.
Yeah, big games this weekend. I'm excited for it. Um, Hopefully, we can get out alive, both of us.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's it for this week's review and preview. Y'all let us know what you think. Like, comment, subscribe. Who you got winning? What's your score prediction?
Number one going down.
Are they? Is Alabama out of the college football race? Because I think whoever loses this game is out of college football race,
I would
and
agree with
possibly
that. I would
big
agree with
games
that.
this weekend. See if we can get, like I said, like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you think. Till next week.